Hey, hello and good morning to you folks. This is Cliff Graves from Train World Boxing. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. They're still at it, aren't they? Espousing all this lies and deceit. And YouTube is giving them the platform to do it. Every time I hear of lies and deceit regarding evolution, isotoping, the age of the earth, I am going to get straight on and retaliate because it's nonsense. I want you just to sort of understand what they are saying. They're saying, like, for instance, this is very, very sort of basic. Isotoping, they claim provides insight into the age of the earth. Get this, the evolution of life and diets of past organisms. It claims that the earth is, get this, 4.5 billion years old. Now, excuse me if I'm missing the point here, but what are they basing 4.5 billion years on? How are they deciphering 12 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 10 months? Is it 13 months? How many days in a month? Is it 30? Is it 60? Is it 10? Why are they basing a day on a 24-hour period? Why couldn't it be 2 cycles of the sun setting and dawn? 6 o'clock in the evening, let's say, when the sun sets. It's not setting at that time, I'm just giving you an example. Then 24 hours later, it's done a full cycle, hasn't it? So how are they basing 4.5 billion years? How can they possibly accurately say the Earth's origin, the Earth's age is 4.5 billion years old? Well, look, they have to resign themselves to the biblical calendar of BC and AD. Now, for instance, our children in school, in history classes, are, well, I certainly was, and talking to my nieces, they still get taught this, about the Battle of Hastings in 1066. The Bayeux Tapestry revealing King Harold getting shot through the eye whilst he was on horseback, for instance. Then we have the Battle of the Roses. Then we have the Spanish Armada. Then we have the historical accounts of Napoleon, Admiral Nelson, Christopher Columbus. Do I need to go on? What I'm trying to say is we set our timeline, historical timeline, via the biblical calendar of BC and AD. Now, scientists, why? Why do you do that? Is that what you are alluding to when you talk about 4.5 billion years ago? Is that what you are alluding to? Are you expecting mature, sensible, intelligent adults to take on board this nonsense? Let me dissect. Isotopes provide insights into the age of the Earth, the evolution of life. Now, evolution has this notion that if you take a tree and how it grows with all the different branches, that we have originated from one particular species, from one particular root. And what absolute balderdash and nonsense that is. You cannot have one species turning into another species. What you do get, however, is adaptation. So if you take here in the West Country, the Southwest, specifically in the next county on from Devon, Cornwall, if you take that into the mix, 500 years ago, very much so, the Cornish communities had a lot of tin mining as the major industry. And there was a lot of tin mines. Now, Anglo-Saxon males, were small in stature. They were not really taller than about 5'4", to be honest. Built absolutely fabulously for the low tin mine roofs, the tunnels where they would dig for tin and metals such as that. They weren't built for a 6'1" like myself. What I'm trying to say to you is, before the invasion of the Vikings, the Norse men, the inhabitants of the British Isles the males were short, not very tall men. Now, of course, when the Vikings came over and they raped and they pillaged through Anglo-Saxon villages, obviously the offspring from the females that had been impregnated now had the traits of Anglo-Saxon and Viking. This is why you will see tall, English people, tall Welsh people, tall Scottish people, ginger in colour, Celtic. So yes, we do have adaptation of the species, most definitely, 100 times out of 100, definitely, 100%, 100%, 100%. So times have changed from the Middle Ages. Times have changed because of adaptation of the species, not changing of the species. You see, just look at this intelligently. And I was quite shocked with one chap from New Zealand, does run his mouth a bit, and his wife. They do use expletives of the heaviest kind a bit too frequently, I feel, to be honest with you. But even a bright academic like that has got it wrong, completely wrong, espousing nonsense and complete rubbish. You see, because if you take the Darwinian principle of it all, now I'm not an academic, I'm not stupid, but I'm not an academic. So I could never match this person that I've just described to you from New Zealand in any way, shape or form in an academic point of view. I do have colleagues that would be able to. But what I'm saying is, if you take the Darwinian principle, you see the little monkey, don't you? The ape, the chimpanzee, or whatever it is, at one end of the spectrum, don't you? At the other end of the spectrum, you see a human being, don't you? Now, if the theory of evolution stacks up, well, we know that monkeys and gorillas in the ape world still exist because we see them, don't we? With our very eyes. And of course, we know that human beings still exist, don't we? But can somebody out there come back with a one-sentence answer? Where's the bits in the middle that Darwin purports, the diagram? Where are the bits? We've got the monkey, the ape at one end of the spectrum. We've got the human being at the other. So where's all the other bits? Don't you think, if all of this is stacking up, don't you think for one moment, if we've got the monkey at one end of the spectrum, right? The human being at the other end of the spectrum, right? We'd still see the stages in between, would we not? Don't you think? So that's another one that I have many times posed to scientists, secular scientists, and they just cannot answer. Not that they won't, they can't. You see, because what came before the gorilla, the ape world. What came before that? And what came before that? And what came before that? So let's dial it back right to 4.5 billion years ago. The origin of the Earth. Well, you cannot have somethingness, because an Earth is a planet, isn't it? And they're talking about the solar system as well. The moon would have been there, the sun would have been there, right? So tangible things, right? The Earth, the sun, the stars. What I'm saying to you is, you cannot have somethingness out of nothingness and not call it creation. Because tell me, what was the original spark of life some 4.5 billion years ago? Please tell me, what was the original spark of life? Well, the scientists say, the Big Bang. But what was the causation of the Big Bang? Because you cannot have somethingness out of nothingness and not call it creation. So tell me, what caused the Big Bang? Now, some have said, yeah, that was what it was. Oh, it was gases combusting, vibrating, and then there was actually an implosion, not an explosion. Oh, I see. I see. So now you're saying gases was the causation of the Big Bang. I see. What gases? Can you tell me? Well, until they can tell us, it's a load of old hearsay. But even if it was caused by a Big Bang 4.5 billion years ago, my question is, well, what was the causation of the gases getting there? Because a gas is a tangible substance. You look at the formations of any gas you want to think of, from methane to helium to all of them, all of the gases that you can probably think of. Pick a few and then research, do a Google search to find out their chemical components. So I think it's true to say a gas is a tangible substance. If you look in the Oxford Collins Dictionary, what the definition of a gas is, it will tell you that. Tangible substance. Now, tangible is of something. That's the definition. It is of somethingness. So let's go back to the origin of the Earth. The scientists, the secular scientists, the evolutionists propose 4.5 billion years ago. And in fact, it was gases combusting, vibrating, which caused a massive implosion in and then out, when all the particles, which through gravitational forces amalgamated together, formulating the Earth, formulating the moon, formulating other planets. Well, you cannot have somethingness out of nothingness without you calling it creation. So tell me then, scientist, evolutionist, Tell me what came before the Big Bang. What was the cause of the Big Bang? What gave rise to the gases? Where did the gases come from? If it is indeed what they're saying, that was the causation of the Big Bang. Where did the gases emanate from? Where did they come from? You cannot have somethingness out of nothingness without calling it creation. I think a better description of the advancement of the species of humanity is probably more better described as it, rather than being one single tree, being an orchard of identical trees. On one tree, you've got the ape world. Right bang smack next door to that tree, you've got humanity. In the next 2 or 3 rows down, you've got one tree which is dogs. Near to where the dogs are, you've got cats. Do you understand what I mean? We are different species. We are not from one. Isotoping is completely flawed, therefore, because you cannot pinpoint 4.5 billion years because of what I believe. You just cannot do it because you're setting the years off based on the biblical calendar, aren't you, evolutionists? I think the only thing where there is a lot of credibility is the diets. Now, pre the flood, which there is definitive evidence that occurred, might I add, the answers are in Genesis, my friends. The answers are in Genesis. God gave us every green plant to eat. Now, I'm not saying, because I am a carnivore, I am not saying that the consumption of seed oils, corn, grain, vegetables in today's society is all it's cracked up to be. In no way, shape or form. I think the ketogenic lifestyle is, in all probability, one of the most healthiest when we talk about sugar intake, fructose intake. There has been a lot of documented medical evidence to prove out that this, in fact, is what causes people to have heart attacks. So I'm not against the carnivore way of life. What I am against is these silly little twerps getting on their soapbox, mouthing off, running their mouth on complete and utter nonsense. Because until they can answer questions which for them should be very simplistic to be able to do that, it shouldn't be difficult, it shouldn't be hard, because they know the truth, allegedly. So it should be enough in one clear, concise sentence to send an old duffer like me packing. But they can't. Not they won't, they can't. Because it just doesn't stack up. And in closing, I just want to say this, that if they cannot give us a definitive, not War and Peace, one sentence answer, right, on the causation, the divine spark of life, because they seem to have all this isotoping, so sure, which they can say is 4.5 billion years of evidence, they should be able to answer that. So evolutionists, get real and understand that it's just a belief. It's a religion. Evolution is a religion. It's a belief. Okay? So, I don't really need to say anymore, but I do think YouTube, you do have a responsibility to stop all this nonsense from continuing. Okay, so this is Cliff Graves from Trainwheel Boxing. Have a great Sunday. Ciao.